CBS News congressional reporter Taurean Small joins us now. How are lawmakers reacting?
So, Lindsay, the disparity between interpretation of this readout that we got on Capitol Hill from lawmakers to the briefing they received from Trump administration officials couldn't be bigger. We saw Republicans coming to the defense of the Trump administration, like Speaker Johnson, for example, saying that the imminent threats that was communicated by Secretary of State Marco Rubio to them warranted this response. He said, in part, if the United States didn't act in the way that it did, we would see a lot of Democrats, in his words, questioning the administration for the lack of action. But what Senator Mark Warner, the top intel Democrat, said, I think was quite instructive. He said he believes, based on what he's heard from the administration, there was no imminent threat to the United States of America. There was an imminent threat by the Iranians to Israel. And he believes it certainly didn't warrant this reaction. Take a listen to what lawmakers had to say.
Look, a whole lot of questions were asked. I found their answers completely and totally insufficient. In fact, at least to me, that briefing raised many more questions than it answered.
This was a defensive measure, a defensive operation. Because Israel was determined to act, with or without the U.S., our commander-in-chief and the administration and the officials I just named had a very difficult decision to make.
Going into these meetings with Trump administration officials, lawmakers said that they were just trying to understand the scope of this, Lindsay, and I believe over the next couple of days they're going to get more understanding from the White House on that as well.
Lawmakers are set to vote on a war powers resolution this week to limit military operations in Iran. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, we know there will be two bills headed to the House and Senate floor, one sponsored by Senator Tim Kaine. This is also the same lawmaker who put forth the War Powers resolution last June after Operation Warhammer on Iran that ultimately failed. And then there's this strange bedfellows we see between Thomas Massie, a Republican from Kentucky, and Ro Khanna, a progressive Democrat, coming forth with their own version of that resolution in the House. Whether or not they'll have consensus to get across the finish line, it's unclear, especially considering there are Democrats who aren't supporting the calls for a war powers resolution, as well as Republicans like Massie who aren't necessarily in favor of how the Trump administration has been handling this, Lindsay.
Taurean Small, thank you.